saw this thing, right? That was weird. I just wanted to share this with you before we wrap things up. I just thought it was a crazy story. It was like this murder. So I saw this on TikTok today, and I thought I would share it with the class, But so there's this cop, right? This female cop, and so she had like a husband, and like they got divorced, and he had a new girlfriend. So she broke into his house and basically beat the girl to death, bit her. Well, not to death, but not
I know
literally.
what you're talking about.
Bit her, and then and then killed her husband. And then like 20 years later, like they had she was like promoted to all these things. She was like the captain for like art.
It was art.
It's like weird, pet thievery. I don't know why they have that. Like what the hell, but I don't know. So she was like in charge of art thieves. Why playing footsie with me?
I don't know.
But art thieves. And then they tested the DNA for the bite mark.
20 years later?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was the case went cold.
Yeah.
Well, they thought it was a robbery. She set it up to look like a burglary.
Yeah.
And so they never caught the burglary.
So the DNA and the bite mark stayed for 20 years?
No, someone swabbed it at the time, but they didn't. It was in the 80s. I think the crime was actually committed. So they didn't have technology like
that. So then they tested it.
Yeah. So then they were just doing cold cases in the 2010s.
Yeah. And then they found out it was a female. And they were like, "Oh shit!" So they were like, "Maybe it is the cop." So then they took one of their coffee cups or one of just the cups, and they swapped it, and it was a perfect match. So then they bring on the interrogation room.
What a coincidence!
I know they bring on the interrogate. Well,
no.
Well, they figured because
she was a suspect at the time. Not a suspect. Like they didn't take it seriously, but it was reported that she was stalking.
She's a cop, like
the person. Yeah, it was reported that she was stalking the person that died.
Yeah.
So they were looking over the files, and they're like, "Wow, she was involved. Like we should probably check."
Exactly. Yeah. And then basically her whole face changes. Like imagine, like bro, like I would shit my pants. Like fucking 20 years later, they bring up this. I'm like, oh shit. But so they arrest her, and then she's in jail. That's crazy. Like I was just so surprised. I mean, I'm sure her being a cop definitely had something to play in, like the fact that she wasn't like really more investigated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of threw me off. Like, they were looking at the evidence, and it was very weird. I read a Wikipedia article on it. It was very weird to me that they just assumed burglary so quickly.
Yeah.
Because the woman, first of all, was bit. Like, that's weird enough.
Yeah.
She was shot 3 times. The door wasn't broken.
She bit her. Like, that's just such a weird thing to do.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. Like, how
door, well, yeah, but you know why they actually investigated it? They tested the DNA, and it was a woman. And they were like, legitimately, like, this is a real thing. They were like, women are a lot less likely to be burglars. Like, literally, they just assumed because it was a woman that it had to be murder, and it couldn't have been a robber.
Yeah.
That was like the first thing that made them open it up, but the door wasn't broken. There was another thing too that they apparently the fight started upstairs and traveled downstairs, and there was a perfectly stacked DVD set at the top of the stairs, and they were like, well, someone must have set that up after they fell because it had to be knocked over.
Yeah.
And there was blood prints on the like a thumbprint, but it wasn't
like the discs, like they'll still be able to read, like if you put them in a DVD player.
I don't know, damn. But on one of the cases, there was a blood mark like a thumb, but she was wearing gloves, so like it wasn't a fingerprint.
Yeah.
So like as if she killed the woman and
so
then
she
stacked
wore
the
gloves
CDs up.
not for her fingerprints.
I know, and then bit. But again, the technology didn't exist at the time.
Why didn't she wear like a mask?
Well, keep in mind, like
it doesn't matter. There wasn't cameras.
Yeah, keep in mind back then, there's no cameras, no fucking.
Yeah, like
DNA.
literally, there was no like.
You can't even commit crimes no more. The cops are spoiling the fun. We gotta say.
Probably shouldn't say that.
You can't rob a house no more without Karens fucking checking their cams anymore.
But yeah, no, that
you see, that was a good use of the sound, But finally, Danny has a perfect use of the soundboard. That was good. All redeeming yourself over there. But yeah, man, I thought it was a crazy, crazy case. Like I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, I just can't believe they accepted robbery at the time. Although actually, conveniently for the woman, there was actually a robbery.
Oh yeah.
Very close in time to the. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, I'm wondering how much her being a cop has something to do with it.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
But it was probably because the family probably was like, yeah, I heard she was stalking my daughter, the one who died, and and they were like, she's a cop. Like,
yeah, I'm sure they were like,
yeah, and you know what? Actually, this was another piece of evidence I thought was weird. They didn't catch at the time. The gun that was used was a popular off-duty weapon,
Yeah.
and she reported it stolen near a pier in California. The case in California, 13 days after the murder.
Yeah,
And they never suspected a thing. Like the gun was a popular
didn't
like
she
it
say
couldn't
it
be
was-
her actual cop sidearm because they would get in trouble for losing those. But a popular off-duty sidearm for cops was the murder weapon, and she lost it and reported it to a different police department in California near a pier, and like 13 days after, like not even like a year, like literally 13 days later.
and I couldn't believe it.
Why didn't she just report it like lost like before the crime?
I mean, because they probably would have tracked it down, I guess. And why report it lost and then use it?
Well, I don't know much about murder.
I'm sure you don't.
Sure.
That sounds a little suspicious, Dan. Have you murdered someone?